Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Steel Hearts, Rusted Souls, Season 6, Episode 6, Uneasy Dreams calls Wakefulness. Why, hi there.
Hello.
Did you realize that some of the functionality has changed in how you interface with it?
What?
Oh, for Discord. Normally you click on the person and then either invite them or move them. Now you just drag their picture.
That might have always been there. It's just something that you might have just discovered.
Well, you know, I'm a bit behind the times. These things happen, of course. How was your day vibing? Today is what, your Saturday, right? Because you go back to work tomorrow night, right?
No, I don't go back to work until Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I work 4 days a week.
Okay, nice. Very, very good. Very, very good. How have you made progress with your character?
For the, not replacement for Hoss, but side character for until Quill is back with us.
Yes.
I haven't really been putting too much thought into it the last couple of days.
Oh,
like I said,
really?
When the package came in, I kind of spent a few days tinkering with that. Then I had work again, and I'm kind of re-entering a couple of my hobbies.
Okay.
Like, I'm trying to start watch anime again a little bit.
Fair enough. And,
now I'm slightly considering, after the current arc in my bi-weekly campaign, swapping to a different campaign for the time being.
Okay.
Just because, like, compounding similarities between that campaign and the other bi-weekly one, in terms of, like, some tonal stuff, I feel is leading to, like, a bit of anxiety. It's triggering a couple of the players, so I'm thinking of going with something either more lighthearted or something where they legitimately can feel like heroes.
Okay. I get that. There's too much investment and not enough easily viewable successes that make them feel as if they're actually making leeway, right?
If you want me to be honest, I'm not 100% certain.
Okay. So you know now what the question actually is, right? What exactly did they do or did not do that make them feel less like heroes?
So, the overarching arc that they are currently in, they are trying to find a tiefling child that has been kidnapped and sold. And they are following leads, and their lead has led them to someone that one of the player characters knew early in life because he had a similar experience. And so it began. The, for lack of a better way of putting it, interrogation of them trying to get information of where the fuck this child is.
Okay.
Which, as far as villains that you are supposed to hate goes, I think I did a good job. But where the thing happened is the players that typically take the lead in these situations, in particular because, like, in character, they are kind of the leaders of the group, because the other members aren't. That's just kind of the role they seem to have filled.
Right.
The wranglers, so to speak, of the Chaos Gremlins that they beat. They felt that there was no good option to get the information out of him. Because they couldn't find documentation, they couldn't get him to talk without just by talking. No one tried to do anything besides talk. Like, yeah, he's tied to a chair, and he's being basically held at sword point by the party's resident kill-everything melee guy.
Didn't his arm get tired?
Do what?
Didn't his arm get tired?
But yeah, as a whole, they kind of just didn't do anything the whole time, and I'm like just waiting for someone to do something. I am considering like putting the campaign on hiatus and going with something a bit more, like I said, lighthearted and or possibly just more obviously heroic. But I have at least a month and a half to consider that and consider my options. So.
Have you tried summoning up a older style, just hack and slash for them?
That's possibly one of the things I would go for. Now, admittedly, like something that's as like Left 4 Dead-esque, probably not, because just combat and nothing else definitely is not their thing.
But what I mean by hack and slash, like simple problems, simple solutions, even for the social stuff.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna go for. Again, I definitely don't view this campaign as a failure. I view this campaign as a massive success because it has lasted half a year, whereas most of my campaigns over the last few years has lasted like a month, maybe 2 months. Like, don't take anything I say as like complaining. This is just mostly me being, I guess, introspective might be the right word.
Yeah, no. I definitely get that. I do that quite often. It's one of the many reasons why I reach out in the very light touch way that I do. Welcome. How we doing?
Sorry, the mic was in the wrong spot, so I was moving it before I said anything. But I'm still kind of rough right now, so I will do my best. But it's probably going to be as soon as we're done, I'm going to lay down night.
Okay, fair enough.
Server's getting an influx of possible players.
Yeah. I did our app merge a little early. This is the question that we ended last episode on, which was, what, if anything, would they be doing to try to get to the party that's already in motion? Not their party, but a party where there would be lots of people to invite and cajole, kidnap to their party that they're supposed to be doing for Prince Volvad Albu of Thornton Township. Questions? Thoughts? In regards to where we last left everybody. Everybody remember where we were? Any plans?
Did the ghost that was in the bathroom that killed the other ghost, are they still there, or did they disappear?
Remember, they melded into the floor, and you all were left with the wreck and ruin of Gary dying for the second time. With Benji preparing to leave because Haley wanted the Potemkin out of her domicile, and Benji was ignoring excuse me, and heeding the Potemkin's call, the Potemkin's whisper, the Potemkin's knowing what's best for them both in this moment.
So has he made it out of the apartment yet, or was he on his way?
On his way.
So if I tackle him to take it, I could do that.
But it's in my pocket.
It's hard to have pockets if you don't have clothes.
I mean, you can take it from him if you want. I mean, once he's out of the apartment, it's not your problem anymore.
I was laughing because I just pictured that one overused magician's trick where they yank the tablecloth off the table, but with clothes. So she just like grabs the back of his clothes and yanks real quick, and he's naked.
Not my sleeve, presto.
Did they see that he has it? I thought last they saw it, it was still in the ghost.
Remember, he picked it up.
Yeah, but they see that.
The ghost is in front of everybody. There was no sleight of hand there.
I thought they were leaving the room. I thought they already left the room when he was trying to do that.
No.
No, remember? Because Anaya tackled him into the tub, and then they got yanked out of the tub, and everybody was tied up in the bathroom, and then,
Yeah, y'all ran. Y'all tried to run, if I remember correctly.
No, we were trying to. We didn't get far. And I don't want to call her Hazel because it's not Hazel.
Haley.
Haley. Too many of them say names. Haley told it to leave. Haley was like, I don't want you in my apartment no more, stop. And then it died and melted, and then the other vampire ghost came and took the rest of it, and then they melted into the floor, leaving everybody in the bathroom vicinity.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, they would have noticed with him trying to pick it up, and Haley was telling him she just wanted it out, so
just go. Walk out the door. I'm still around now, but you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to smoke me with goodbye? Did you think I'd stumble? Do you think I'd lay down and got high? But now you're back with your crack. I don't know where I was going with that. I just, you guys get it. You guys get it.
Neither do I, but it was entertaining.
No, that doesn't work. Aren't you the one who tried to break me with the goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Think I'd never get high? Jeez. Alright. I'm losing some of the creepy imagery, but it'll work. It'll do. It'll do. I have been using the pre-warm-up to gesture out the thumbnails for our live notes, as it were, And so I, based on the feeling of our pre-talk and our conversations and what I view is what I usually toss together to keep it simple. And there's a wondrous essence to things. Like the spirit of our conversations lives on. And we're gonna go ahead with a nice little raster mask right there. I'm not getting anything back from Jay, which means they may be in fact dead to the world. So I'm gonna give them a few moments to perhaps come back to us, because I don't remember I don't remember whether they left a missive for us in real world concerns or not. So gives me a time to look through some research and see if there is a note that they have left. I don't think there was, but either way, I'm going to steal 4.5 or so minutes from you guys, and then when I get back, when I return, we shall dive in with both feet hanging out with both hands. We're going to be picking up a little later, and the questions that you all need to formulate an answer to is, with the party and the offing, would they still try to make it? And if they do, being it is important that they have enough guests for their soiree that they're throwing, how would they get there? And if not there, what would they be doing in the aftermath of coming face to face with their sins of the past and ghosts of the present? So 4.5 minutes, I'll be right back. All right, folks, sorry about that. I am back.
Yeah, but you said Man in Black, so I was gonna give you the Will Smith song.
Aha! I'm not getting jiggy with it. And welcome. How do? Still groggy?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. You guys are still practicing on Thursdays? Yeah. I don't envy your Thursdays and your Saturdays. Where's my lighter? Where is the lighter? Who moved the lighter? What? I need my lighter. We are doing... There it is. We're doing myrrh and sage today. We're going to be fresh. We're going to be so very, very fresh. And ward ourselves away from all of the evils and ills that we will be bringing into existence. Because, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but this is actually Steel Hearts, Rusted Souls. We are well on our way towards breathing life, or an approximation of life, into these characters' existence. When we last left, they had just gotten done dealing with, well, the improbable and nearly impossible in regards to just how much had been heaped on them. With them avoiding, ignoring, escaping, and evading the vast bulk of the socio-political upheavals permeating through Gary. Some of those chickens, not even belonging to their farm, had chosen to come home to them to roost. And as much as we all have been programmed to run our little hearts off in this race of rats, this daily grind, the truth of the matter is that even when winning the rat race, the sad fact is you are still a rat. And these kindred have come to that realization. These kindred have come to that understanding. As much as existence and their promised immortality is there to be lived for their own personal enjoyment and agency, the only way to secure that is by being in a position where you have the autonomy to do so. where you have the autonomy and agency to protect what's important to you, for you, against all factors. And as long as they hang on by the skin of their teeth, by the tips of their fingernails to the furthest extremes of the socio-political environment, they will always be the end of the hill where all the shit rolls into. They will be the valley collecting all of that sludge as it rolls downhill, picking up steam, velocity, and mass. So before diving in fully, both feet hanging on with our every limb, what questions do our coterie have? What ideas, hypotheses, or assumptions would we like to clarify? Excellent. Our camaraderie silence. My immortal thanks for all of the adventures that we've had and the experiences we've gotten a chance to enjoy. All of the endorphin releases and natural chemical highs from exploring and experiencing the world of these characters and all of the others. And I guess it goes without saying, and that it is beyond every shadow of a doubt that this is officially Steel Hearts, Rusted Souls, Season 6, Uneasy Dreams calls Wakefulness. As stated in my little rambling upstart to where we are moments later. We will be picking up with the conclusion of your assertions as to what the three most important things to the characters are, knowing that the party that they need to pull forces, populations, and censuses from to complete their agreed upon tasks is in the offing. That the mechanic so sought out by Benji is at said party, and that they are not the only victims of the pernicious touch of the bodiless dead. So, starting in reverse alphabetical order, what are the three most important things, and if it is the party, how would they like to get there? Haley.
She has a car.
Excellent. That's one. So she is going to the party. She is going to go call people and dance the blues away by immersing herself in the excess that comes from kindred immortals unleashing all of their inner demons as they imbibe spirit after spirit, whether it is in powdered or liquid form, or whether it is injected or smoked, whether it is drunken or simply taken from them on the fangs of another.
Sure, all of that.
All right, Benji.
Go find Todd. Bring Todd to car.
Excellent. Would you...
That or crash in the sewer somewhere.
Okay. Would Benji insist on hitching a ride, as Haley is clearly going to the same location?
He does not seem, as I understand it, she's kicking him out of her house, so I don't think he's welcome anywhere near her things right now.
Haley, is he?
I mean, as long as he doesn't break my poor little Kia.
The soul is go.
Fair enough.
And Anaya.
Party would definitely be important to her. She just definitely wants to get out of this apartment. so she would hitch a ride with Haley.
All right. That being the case, we swoop through the barely lit streets of Gary. We take in the vast sprawl of the urban blight. Much like most other cities, geographic boundaries are established not only just because of financial strata, but they are also established in architecture. They're also established in the way that those blocks and neighborhoods are composed. Gary is considerably more spread out. It's considerably more, has always been a very wide area, because Gary is contiguously several other cities. Let's just call it what it is. Gary includes portions of East Chicago, Prairie Park, West Side, Black Oak, Liverpool, New Chicago, Lake Station, Portage, Ogden Dunes, Burns Harbor, the Dune Acres on the far northeastern shore. And yet, it is none of those spaces. For the locals, being perfectly honest with themselves, Gary is everything east of 12 or 912, depending on how far south you are, and north of 94. The reason for that is during Gary's explosive growth, the other contiguous villages, towns, and parts of Gary separated themselves forcefully to not be associated with what they viewed Gary as becoming. The flight from the area began just prior to the death of American Steel. During the ramp up to Gary being the Magic City, the city of the future, the fears had already taken root in the populace. The fears had already started those affluent individuals to wall themselves up all along Marquette Park Pavilion behind high walls and security forces of the very private nature. The land in and around Miller's Woods, the land in and around Ogden Dunes, where the private neighborhoods of mansions and what have you were safe from the urban blight. Even then, as Gary was making its mark on the world, as Gary was being forced under the boot of Chicago, as American steel was being devalued and divested from American soil, those fears had already set in. Once the steel left, once the blight set in, it only got worse. Those wide vistas and spread apart neighborhoods became their own individual cities. And while Willow Creek is not perceived as a city unto itself, it is. It is wholly blocked and zoned off by 3 different expressways, separating it even further still from Portage. There are 4 expressways running through, setting a boundary between Lake Station and Etna and New Chicago. Almost as if someone has set out a plan to create lines of power through the city, lines of transportation and access that the local residents could not take part of, could not be privy to. They couldn't take the power of it. Yet there were other forces that did. And so the geographical differences of Gary became even more obvious. The mansions along the lakefront giving way to tenements, and buildings giving in on themselves, standing barely on their 2 remaining walls. The insides caved in through roof damage and water damage and, well, civilian damage of people squatting there, dying there. It is, in fact, a very depressing thing to drive through Gary, because if you make the wrong turn on your destination, you will end up in a ghost town. A ghost town that's an eye blink from, there's a Foot Locker there, there's a mall there, there's the Jackson family home there. But if you take the wrong right or left on your way to your destination, you will find yourself in the most desolate of places. It's easy to get into those places. It's easy to find yourself lost there. It's harder to escape. No one knows why that is. It's a peculiarity of Gary's essence. You make a wrong turn, and the only way out is oftentimes making another wrong turn. So as the coterie speeds across the city, avoiding the expressways that are death for all kindred, they find themselves not very, very far from what is recognized as the west side of Gary. There's a lovely, one of the last few remaining honest to goodness nightclubs just there off of Grant Street, just there around 47, right around the corner from a bail bondsman, a faith education center, down the street from a soul food restaurant, which is down the street itself from a Harold's Chicken Shack, which is just up the street from a liquor store that has honest to goodness drive up service. The building itself is a fortress. 2-inch steel thick doors that slide into place and can be locked from inside. Shutters that have proven to be bulletproof for most small calibers and some larger caliber rifles. But the nightclub in question, the place where the party of, for many, the decade is taking place, is at Plio's. While most parties for Kindred take place at Salacious, which is on the east side of Gary, there are several hidden gems spread throughout that are where the outsider kindreds, those kindred who don't have any or enough social solvency, those kindred who don't have enough weight behind their name. Previously, places where the anarchs of Gary would have their sessions, would have their rants, would have their raves, would have their nights of excess. And this is one of them. 17th and Grant, as well as the outbuilding just a quarter of a block south. A place where no one would hear you screaming. No one complain about the loud music. They're more afraid of actually having a police officer out than losing a few hours of sleep. The place where people can disappear into their excess for days on end. So making your way there, having dealt with what you've all dealt with, is there any conversation in the car, considering it is a 26-minute drive from Haley's formerly secure and safe condominium to Plio's?
Haley is mostly doing her makeup while she drives. At the same time as Haley, so she's going to talk about something, even if it's nothing.
I guess we can kind of figure out like a way to use this as a pre-party for our party and figure out like how to get people for our party from this party is what we were thinking of doing, right?
I suppose.
And like maybe we can like pretend it's like super exclusive and stuff, but we just tell everybody that it's super exclusive.
Right, sort of like the illusion of exclusivity.
Yeah, you see, I knew you would understand. You got this, girl. And by the way, the eyeshadow is looking beautiful.
I always try.
Benji, you're awful quiet back there considering you almost got eaten by a ghost.
I've almost gotten eaten by several things tonight. I'm trying to forget about it. Just kind of staring wide-eyed out the window.
Oh, why would you do that? Benji, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your resolve plus aspects, please?
Yay! Okay. 3 plus that. 5. Hunger is that. And DC.
As high as you can.
Five successes.
The only thing worse than understanding that the entirety of the world is completely 100% insane is finding out that you are not. Finding out that all of the horrible conspiracy theories in your head are true. Finding out that what you thought was you being set apart because you are insane, that you are on the outside of sanity. And realizing that you're one of the few last sane individuals in the world. It's a horrible feeling. Most of us will never understand what that is even remotely like. But Benji, as you all make your way through Gary, as you make your way from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood, the realities of being the only individual in the know is a burden you're not sure that you're ready to uphold. Because as you move from neighborhood to neighborhood to neighborhood, you see what Gary was supposed to be and what it is on the other side. Most people believe that sense the unseen is all about the eyes, and for many it is. For many, it very much is about the imagery and visions of the invisible and unseen. But there's more than just visual when it comes to the senses, and there's more than just the imagery of the other side when it comes to sensing the unseen. You are able to, even in the car, feel the very shifts of pressure as you move from one source of necromantic dead energy into the next. As you all move invisibly through different boundaries of the warring tribes of the bodiless dead, you can feel it like most would feel ill-designed speed bumps. You can feel it like the many huge potholes that appear out of nowhere, like chicken pox down the roadways of most Midwestern cities. You can smell that indefatigably signature scent of death in varying degrees as the spirit inspectors, the essence of their skills, the essence of their abilities, the essence of how they died permeate and waft. And most annoyingly, you can hear some of the sounds of those undead environments that you are passing through. It's indiscernible. Most of it's not English, not in any way that really makes sense, but you can hear it. It's like driving through New York in the mid 50s or 60s when everyone had to have their radio or their transistor or their hi-fi and so it was a competing jungle of sounds. And that's what it's like for you. And the twist of the blade, because you are so accustomed to being bombarded by things you have no control over. While it would have driven most, and has driven most who have brushed so closely with that world and this one, completely and totally insane, you are able to hold on to what little bits of your sanity that you have ever had. Which means you are forced to bear up under the brunt of such an assault. You don't lose yourself in the pain. You don't lose yourself in the sensory assault. You hold firm and take it all in. And all too soon, you all are across Gary. All too soon, and not soon enough, you find yourselves moving down Grant to find parking. Because while yes, Playos is a safe space, no one wants to get caught rushing down the alley between Grant or Hayes to get away. No one wants to get caught speeding across 17th the wrong direction, as is always the case in Gary. The police are just as bent and broken as the rest of Gary. Their influx of cash and resources over the last year has gone to their head. So occasionally there are several abuses of power. There are several overzealous actions on their part. And so it's become part of the survivor's traits of those who remain to put themselves in the best position to disappear if need be, when needs be. And so as you all make that left down Grant and you're easing closer to 17th and there's still no parking, you all see the signs of a huge thing. Because normally, as spread out and sparsely populated as Gary is, parking is a given. More times than not, what most people assume is Rockstar parking, which is in fact in Gary security parking right out front of the main door of wherever you're going into. But as you all make your way down Grant, that seems to be just the opposite of what's happening here. There are far too many cars and not standard mid-American sedan or smaller car parking up and down the street. There are huge trucks with ATVs or four-wheelers on the back. There are vans with license plates from as far away as Delaware. There are all sorts of rough and tumble vehicles that most people wouldn't drive down the expressway, let alone a residential street. And as you ease across West 17th and you look over at Playos, their parking lot is actually filled.
Why is there nowhere to park?
I guess this party's bigger than we thought it was.
Should have taken an Uber.
Yeah, but then if something pops off, we won't be having to wait for the Uber.
I mean, I might have to drive halfway back to find a parking spot.
Does anyone have a politics of 2 or higher?
Nope.
What's politics?
Yep, nah.
The study and application of power. Does anyone have streetwise at 3 or higher?
Ooh, Haley does.
3, possibly 4 if you count urban survival as the specialty.
Oh ho ho! Let's start with the 4. Part of surviving in the urban environment is knowing not to be a victim. To not be a victim, you must immediately understand the call signs, colors of all of those predators that exist in the urban environment. Whether it is the gang in blue, whether it is the opportunity of those unofficial mafias, those neighborhood criminal enterprises, or, in the case of Kindred, power players from outside of the area. As you all ease down Grant and look at that parking lot, there's no way that huge RV on the western side of the lot, towering over most of the other vehicles except for a few unfortunately uber large SUVs, is not what you think it is. There's a rumor of a anarch sweeper that has been visiting the larger cities, making sure that at least in general ideology that the anarchs of wherever they are at least towing the line. Part of the old anarch mission was not being anti-Camarilla, but changing the Camarilla to be more representative and appreciative of those of higher generation. That to share a little bit of the wealth based on meritocratic ideologies. That sweeper purportedly was driving around the US in a huge daisy painted RV that looked as if it could eat most modern vehicles. And if you being completely honest with yourself, you don't know what a daisy fucking looks like. You understand that it's just a bunch of flowers, but the idea that it's a big, huge yellow RV from the bygone era when vehicles were made of less than perfectly pressed steel and aluminum, when they could run through a building doing 15 miles an hour, that would be it. That would be the very thing that sticks out in your head as, yeah, that's fucking Yulia the Reeve, who was responsible for the many exchanges of blood and vitae in the western states, pact of aggression against all Towerites. From Seattle, Washington, all the way down to, well, Miami, Florida. The rumors of the sweeper Yulia is the stuff of legends. And if you have to be honest with yourself, yeah, that you don't know what a daisy looks like, but that most definitely is a huge yellow RV from the bygone era where you were lucky if you got more than 3 miles to the gallon for gas. And as for Haley, Gary has a grand total of 70 recognized street level criminal organizations. Of those 70, they can be divided along a simple line: Northsiders, Southsiders, East and West. An East Northsider or South Westsider don't mix. However, what most don't understand is that the drug trade, the blood trade, and all of those 70 differing local criminal organizations answer to several different kindred anarchs? No. 5 to be exact. And judging by the organizational flags being flown from some of the vehicles you've passed, you are sure that at least 4 of the 5 major sub-anarch bosses of criminal enterprise are present. Which means there should be some very good fucking drugs inside.
This looks like an anarch party.
Yeah. Yulia's here.
I don't know who that is, but I do know that we are working for the prince, so perhaps this is not a good place for us to be.
Why the fuck are you working for a prince in Anarch City?
The times, they are changing.
They fucking are not.
Okay, boomer.
And yes.
I was kind of watching between the two of them. Yes, Haley, you have a point with who we're supposed to be working for. This would not be a good thing, but at the same time, he never said we didn't have to be anarchs anymore. He just said that he wanted us to throw a party and get the top anarchs together, and they've already kind of done it themselves, it seems like.
Benji is gonna slip out of the car.
While it's still moving? Okay, let's do this.
Rock and roll, baby. Fuck when he stay in a car with some filthy power rights.
That's like saying, why would you shop at Walmart? You hate yourself for doing it, but perfectly honest, $5 12-inch or better pizza is still a $5 pizza.
Yeah, ordering for a friend. So what do you need me to do?
Is gonna open the door and roll out. That's going to be all right. First things first, dexterity, athletics, and to set the DC that you need, Haley, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus drive. Because you are a little distracted as you're looking for a parking space and moving down the street.
I'm an excellent driver.
Fuck.
I mean, if he opens the back door, she would slam on the brakes.
That doesn't make tucking and rolling easy.
Why the hell is it not letting me just browse?
Don't worry about the rouse. Roll that later. Just add the 2 dice and let her rip, then roll to see if your hunger increases.
Who says we want to make it easy?
And what's the DC again? Sorry.
You need 4 or better.
Okay. Well, I don't have any willpower anymore, so that's a failure.
Woo, yeah!
3, it looks like.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is. Haley looks back, slams on the brakes as she sees you going out the door. Unfortunately, momentum and velocity are things. And when they meet with gravity and asphalt, the proper solution to that problem is in fact just ouch. Luckily, Benji is already dead. There's no risk of him dying again due to the sudden loss of velocity of the vehicle and him preparing to tuck and roll. So as the door opens, he leans out to roll and keep his head from hitting the asphalt, only to realize that he still has momentum, he still has intentions, and the car does not. So bouncing off of the now open back door and against the asphalt, the difference of successes. Please take as health level loss, of course, half before applying, and that's where we are. Rounding up, of course.
It's a margin of 3, that would be 2.
Yep.
Okay.
In other words, several layers of skin that thankfully he's already dead, and the twist and sprain to whichever limbs you choose aren't life damaging, even though, yeah, they would be if you were human. The things that you tore attempting to safely tuck and roll from a non-moving vehicle is considerable. The fact that your clothes did not save you the abrasions of the asphalt only add the proper level of insult to the injury. And instead of being 5-10 feet away from the car before they realize that you've exited, you are literally 4.5 feet from where you started.
And I looked back. Do we need child safety locks for you or something?
Just go on ahead. I will walk there.
Fucking Muppet. What is with this guy?
I don't want to be seen with no tower rights.
You're stupid. We're not tower rights. We're just doing
You're
a
working for a
favor.
prince, you're a tower right.
Whatever, bro. Mr. I was a knight and running around with a fucking
He's already
street
walking
sign
up.
trying to kill ghosts.
Walking toward the light is not a new thing for him. Though normally the quote is, "Don't go into the light, Carol Ann." For Benji, it is in fact, "Go toward the light." The bumping bass and the people, or more accurately, beings, loitering in various states of shadow, close to and smoking and speaking in whispered, hushed tones as they try to make the connections of just simply connecting with another person is easy enough and bright enough for him to not get lost. In regards to parking, due to the 4 successes for driving, there is a parking place, a spot that you can see from where you are, having said, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" If you look there just south of where you are on the eastern portion, there is an alley that you are sure you can pull into, and none would be the wiser that your car is there. And when you need to leave, it's only just under 100 feet from the door to your car. You can make that in a sprint without even thinking about it. And down the alley, well, you know, that would let you out all the way over on Lincoln. I mean, you'd be far enough away for anyone that might be giving chase, if that ever comes to being something that's needed. Or you can continue looking for parking on the street.
I think I see a spot over there. And over there she will go.
Easing into the alley is 100% illegal, but everyone does it. The lack of light you've never been more thankful for. Normally, alleys such as this would be all brightly lit. The buildings north and south of it on either side of the alley would of course have their own exterior security lights, but with the urban blight that has possessed Gary and become Gary, those are amenities and details that you all don't have to worry about. Easing into the alley is like tucking yourself in under a blanket of night. A starless sky overhead only adding to the obfuscation of your vehicle. Out of sight, out of mind. Do you park close enough that Anaya has to crawl out the driver's side, or do you park dead smack in the middle of the alley?
I will let her get out, and then I will park.
That being the case, Anaya being kicked out of the car so that she can ease in and park close enough that she's not obstructing the alley, which is avoiding a particular ticket, one that the city loves to fight because it's a slam dunk case for them. Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus streetwise? The difficulty is 2. Okay. It is a beautiful night. And while the neon lights are far enough away, you do realize that the purple and blue would make the perfect lighting for a selfie. You have to figure out some way to turn the flash off of your phone, but even at this distance, the way that light reflects off of your skin would give you such a very cool, stylish selfie that you could post later. You can of course always edit it as well, but it's just fucking beautiful. You're definitely gonna get people talking if you can get a nice pic now.
She starts looking for the perfect angle to get enough of her upper body and her smile, and flips her hair over her shoulders, and just goes into full influencer mode.
And while Anaya obtains the best use of the present lighting, even from this distance, Plyos, if this was a normal, the average Midwestern neighborhood, people would be complaining about the light. There would be hundreds of citations and hundreds of police having come out, and city inspectors, and the local news would have gotten involved, but because it is in fact Gary, and 6 out of 10 homes and apartment buildings are either just used as squats or completely vacant, no one complains. The noise traveling this far from the club lets you know how loud it is. You're not ever supposed to hear bass. You're supposed to feel bass, and you can hear it rattling off the metal in the building and the building surrounding it. You hear the bass. It is an assault on the senses. And yet, as always, loud, fast, and aggressive has been the calling card for disaffected youth forever. They might as well hang out a sign, the new Anarch headquarters, at least for the night, if not more. And entering Benji, the first thing that hits your nose, and literally in more ways than one, with your sense the unseen raised high, constantly on, there is a sensitivity to things invisible around you. There's a raising of the hackles. You're on guard against things that others can't see or sense. And when you walk into the space, a few head nods and maybe a frown or two, because you look like something that the cat drug across the concrete before bringing in. You look a little haggard. You've had a rough few days and not a chance to change clothes or spiff up your presence. You have been busy. And there's always the fact that your eyes are overly large because you're peering not just in this world but into the next. There's the eeriness of your smile, because when you look at someone, if there's something hidden, if there's some presence that's riding them like the wettest of horse to put away, you'd sense it, you'd smell it, you feel it against your skin. So you're always doing your best to not call someone out. You're always doing your best to not draw attention to their infirmities of the soul. But as you enter, like a sucker punch, the scent of Mary Joanna and all of her cousins hit you. There's sativa in the air. Some idiots lacing their Mary Joanna with hashish. There's, oh yeah, someone dropped several drinks. It is an assault on the senses of every senses altering substance that you could possibly partake in. It smells what a trap house would smell like if taken corporate. Oh, that's right. Hey, Bob, make sure you turn on the piping machine. We need to make sure that we fill the area with the scent of marijuana. We want the customers to feel the need to buy. With or without the THC. Oh, with the THC. Mix that in as well. Make sure that we get a nice get. And that's what Benji walks into. It is a hit of his college experience. It is a hit and a tease. Because he can't feel the effects of all the mind-altering, peace-instilling substances in the air. But he knows that they are there. And he sees mingling with the various leather-clad, bodycon, FUBU-downed, woo-wear crowd. Several entities. Glowing auras of malice, anger, lust, longing, depression. He has long since started seeing those colors and having an intuitive understanding that the violet essences that he sees are excited, spirit, bodiless, dead, or the bright red are angry spirits, or when it veers from red more closer to blue and becomes purple, those are the aggressive, angry essences. Or, God forbid, if he finds those white essences, those innocent ones that have moved on but can't move on, those are the worst. They need considerable effort to help them find their just desserts.
I think in this situation, Benji is very overwhelmed, and he's going to try and probably also find a quiet place, but like a bathroom or a side room where there aren't as many people, possibly. Just make his way somewhere. that isn't this main area.
Excellent. Would you be so kind as go ahead and roll?
Give me a roll.
No, you have so many more rolls, my friend. My friend. This is easy for you. You have this. We have hope. We have faith. We know that you got this because, well, hopefully you got this. But would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll either your wits plus etiquette or your wits plus awareness?
Okay, I'm gonna go with plus awareness. DC.
Oh, roll as high as you possibly can, sir.
5 successes.
That's a very good. That's a very good attempt. That's 5 out of 8. That's huge, and it is a very good thing that you rolled so well. Every organization, whether it is an official organization and an entity unto itself, or an impromptu, unofficial social organization, a gathering of souls in one place, has a hierarchy. They have various rites and rituals that they develop on the fly or they hold tradition of. There's a way that things are done, and in a gathering such as this, where the very spirit of rancor and vociferous, violently stated intentions is the norm, there is a way that things are done. So those that are not engaging in those close and very passionate conversations with one another, or those who are not trying to find their way into another person's veins or pans or bag of drugs, stands out. Even with their skill at hiding in the midst of all of this chaos, all of this overwhelming, hyper-stimulating chaos, there is an etiquette and a way that things are done. And most people are selfish enough, they are only concerned about their own adherence or flouting of those rules, those social mores. Benji is not. He is a victim of selfishness in his ability to dive to the bottom of whatever substance he is engaging in, and making sure that his victims of choice are as high as possibly can be, so that he can escape the pressures of all of the simulations of the world around him. So that outward facing need to find someone to imbibe in, that outward facing need to find a place for himself away from the chaos and the overstimulation, causes him to catch sight of things that he shouldn't, as always. And so the swirling, vibrantly colored aura of the guy who is quietly sitting in a corner watching everyone who enters, the go-go dancer who is dancing in the cage to the driving bass beat, who's keeping an eye on everything that's entering. And while for a second he thinks that it's just the strobe lights and the effects from the DJ that have the lights moving all over the place that has her aura bright, almost blindingly vibrant, and moving at a very increased pace. First, it might have just been the neon, but as he catches sight of her and realizes that it's almost forming a straight line from those two, they can see each other and see the door. And without thinking, he does the math in his head, and he turns to his left, and he realizes that on the far end of the room, there's another person, which means that it's not a triangle, it's at least a square, perhaps another quadrilateral. And he turns further to his left, looking for a quiet place, looking for a way to escape, and hoping that he's not seeing the geometric pattern of their social dissonance. And yet he is. There's another just there to the left of whoever enters the door. And those four, while he's sure in his head that there may be more, those four, those bright, overly vibrant essences all over them, In a party such as this, a certain level of depression is to be expected. People hide their issues all the time by taking in substances of various matter. The problem is that he's not seeing a gray to them. He is seeing a bright, vibrant, almost blindingly so, black and green and light green in their auras. The troubling part, and the part that causes him to lose sight of immediately running into a nice quiet private room, is the tremulations of gold throughout their aura.
Boss, I have no idea what either of those colors mean.
No worries. Just putting it out there so that he is aware. He's got this. It'll settle in as he absorbs what he knows. I guarantee you. Benji is a savant when it comes to these things. He is a genius level intellect when it comes to seeing what he should not see. Because you know the old saying, ignorance is bliss.
Cat just clawed the shit.
Oh, that's not good. Sorry about that. So while you spend your vitae to mend, and Benji deals with the many visions of sugar plums dancing in his head, outside, a perfect light, a perfect seeming. Haley exiting the car, you catch Anaya in the middle of a selfie, and you realize that it's because of the melding of those two different light sources, those two different ends of the spectrum, red and blue, well, purple and bluish. It's a thing, and there's no part of Haley that does not understand that's perfect selfie light. It gets all of the undertones out from being in any of the images. It makes the skin look smooth. It is killer. It's almost as good as that blue-orange thing that they were doing for a number of years, except for the blue-orange always made you look a little dried out. It made you always look a little bit pale, so even living individuals looked far less living than they were. But the red, blue, the purplish thing that's going on here now, it is the absolute perfect selfie light.
Seems like an appropriate place for a photo bomb.
Yes.
Gets excited, Harry, kind of peeking into the picture. Girl, you know that? Come on, let's get it. Yeah, and she kind of like poses up next to Haley and like gets the angle right and like snaps like one more pictures.
As you all take pictures, are you trying to line up the perfect shots of your background? Are you trying to bring in any of the outside environmental elements?
No, just kind of very candid, very girls' night out, very we look good, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, who's looking at the background?
Okay. Would you all be so kind as to go ahead and roll either your wits plus streetwise or your wits plus awareness -1?
-1 to both, or just the awareness?
Both. No. It's often believed that a certain vacuousness means that the person is unintelligent. It is taken that the vacuous, who are solely focused on themselves, those who engage in the idolatrous aspects of modern society when it comes to things like selfies and taking pictures of their food and taking pictures of where they're eating, and those sorts of behaviors are unintelligent. That could not be further from the truth. Most who choose to check out of this world through their focus on self, their solipsistic ideologies, do so because they're smart enough to realize how bad things are. They do so to find what pleasure they can, and they adhere to it, oftentimes militantly. It is such a situation for Haley and Anaya. Neither are unintelligent. Neither are deficient in that department. So as they snap the pics and get the perfect angles and care not one whit about their background. There are settings on most phones that allow you to switch from picture mode to portrait mode to widescreen to panoramic, and so in that shifting and changing the shutter speed and the exposure and editing the pics so that they get the best versions of that moment to put up. There's a film at the back of certain animals' eyes, usually predators, that allow them to reflect light when certain light spectrums, low light environments, and what have you, to magnify the light around them so that they can all but see in the dark. Oftentimes, that thin film at the back of their eyes, those receptors at the back of their eyes that you're able to see, often reflect red or green. There's been a few that have reflected blue, but it is always a sign, typically, of predators. Most prey that are not adapted to nocturnal environments hide. When the sun goes down, they hide. They stay out of the way, find a safe place to hole up, and don't have to deal with what happens in the nocturnal world. So it is typically in the eyes of predators where that happens. As you all are editing the picture, swiping through to find the best ones, to make sure that they're in the best light with the light that's available, there's a picture that catches the top of the building, roughly at a 45-degree angle from where you all are as you make your way towards Playos. There's no way that anything should be up there in that shadowed recessed space of that roof, but you see two glowing pinpricks of light in the background. And while the background is mostly fuzzy because you guys are the central focus, you are following make sure that you only account for the top third or the left third or the bottom third of the picture, and there it is. And as you swipe through several pictures, you realize that it's moved in each one to get a better view of the street where you all are heading towards Playos. The sound coming from outside, a siren song to the activity that should be inside. The only thing depressing about that is that you could get inside and everyone that's parked there in the parking lot could be elsewhere. They might all be smokers on the backside of Playos, but all of those paranoid thoughts aside, it is definitively 2 pinpricks of light moving across the top of those buildings behind you.
Did you see that?
I don't want to say what I think it is out loud. But then she kind of makes like teeth and pointy ears at the top of her head, mimicking wolf.
Oh, I don't understand.
What big teeth you have, Grandma.
So maybe we should not go to the party?
I certainly think that maybe, yeah, that we shouldn't. But then we let that stupid idiot go get out of the car and he might get himself killed. So do we go get him or do we just leave?
I mean, has he been anything but trouble since we run into him?
True, and he also said he doesn't like Towerites, even though we're not Towerites. So, I don't know. I'm getting an uneasy feeling, though. Do we know anybody that might be inside and just, like, text them or something and say, hey, there might be trouble or something? I don't know.
I don't imagine that I'll know anyone inside, except for the bloke who rolled out of my car.
Yeah, about that. Unfortunately, having been part of and party to one of the longest lasting party circuits here in Gary, there was without a shadow of a doubt, while you may not know anyone's name, it is a surety that in 7 out of 10 parties in Gary, you will at least know half the faces. And more depending on how many illegal substances circulate through that party. You don't know them, but you recognize the face. Like, oh yeah, hey, that's the guy that, oh no, I don't like him. He likes chugging through his butt. Or, I don't like that girl because, you know, her entire septum is burned away. And how do you do that as a kindred? It doesn't do anything actually snorting it yourself. Or, that's the Nosferatu that doesn't have any veins in his left arm because, well, we know why he doesn't have any veins left in his left arm. He literally burned him out because even as a kindred, he's fucking injected in the same place. What the hell's wrong with that guy? Or, yeah, no, not that guy. Why not that guy? Well, he likes a certain flavor of ice cream that I'm not fond of. Her dirty little secret, her dirty little guilty pleasures. Kindred are nothing if not selfish, seeking their own ends as often as they are able. Some go out of their way to make the environment around them bad enough where the only thing that matters to not just themselves but to those who exist in their environment are their own guilty pleasures, are their own pursuits. One of the many ideologies for younger, and here's the thing, younger meaning your exact generation of kindred, your exact kindred who've been dead just as long as you have and slightly longer, who want none of the accountability, none of the responsibility, to be beholden to none of the powers that exist, neither anarch nor tower. Their ideas of freedom require no personal accountability. And many of those kindred exist in places like this. Showing up, showing face, gives them enough leverage to eke out their own personal drives. They can say, yeah, we're scouting out the prince's abode. In truth, they found a nice, quiet place to feed on their victim, scroll on their phone, their tablet, or read their book in peace. It gives them enough information to hide their true selfish personal motives. And inside, the bass is the music. You're sure that the song has changed, like, or been blended or melded or whatever it is that DJs do at least 4 or 5 times. You're sure that there's like 17 different songs in this particular mix, but to be perfectly honest, you couldn't delineate the difference between them if you tried. It's the bass. It is the bass and the break, which is just a pause in the song. And yet, a quiet place has to be here somewhere. So Benji,
sorry, my brain, did he find a place, or is that place not obtainable? Fuck!
Oh no, he's still looking. He's still moving through the crowd to find the restroom. Because a quiet place, but this bass bouncing off of everything, with these many people moving around and pulling into small circles and peer groups, it's too much activity. The bartender is actually trying fucking bar flair with this many people in the place. It just adds to the insanity of the moment, the bombardment of weight and movement and light. And he finds himself in the last stall in the bathroom. And unfortunately, like most such places, to remove or minimize the damage that those who show up can do, none of the stalls have doors. The mirror has been etched into non-existence. Various slogans and phrases and quotes and initials and gang signs and hobo language and various other things have been etched into the window that is that mirror. There's no seeing yourself. There's a flickering, broken, almost image of yourself as you walk past it to the last stall. Luckily, in places like this, your privacy is non-existent, but your personal space is all your own. So as long as you occupy the stall, no one's going to enter. You'll have occasional people asking, hey, are you going to be in there long? Or offering, hey man, you need a hit? Hey brother, you look sad. This will pick you right up, my friend. Come on, here, take this. But otherwise, it is your space. It is your moment. You have all of the relative quiet that you could possibly ever have in a place like this.
Benji is going to sit on the toilet and attempt to center himself and not panic, because he knows exactly what he saw. And I feel like the only way Benji knows how to center himself and regain control in any level of this sort of situation is now the light of Potemkin.
It has never led him wrong yet. It is the absolute perfect thing and right thing to do in a situation such as this. It is all that matters in a situation like this. If you know the old saying, if you have to go, go with a smile. Not that anyone is making him go. Not that he is losing anything of himself in this particular moment. But there's definitely too much stimulus. It's just too much. So, as you light up, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your composure? Pardon me, sorry. Oh yeah. You may roll either your composure plus insight or your composure plus subterfuge. Your DC is 4.
We'll go with insight. DC failure.
All right. That's going to require an additional roll, but we'll come back to that in a second. Knowing what you all know of this situation and where you are in the world, heading your way into Playos, you're surprised that there's not a doorman or doorwoman or security staff. All of the cars in the parking lot having formed a small maze of getting to the door. You'd think that there'd be people out there watching it, or at least someone to valet the cars or what have you, but no. The only presence that seems to matter in this moment is the base itself.
This doesn't seem secure at all. I know it's supposed to be like a party, and people aren't typically secure about security, but anybody could be walking in.
I mean, it draws less attention if you don't exclude people.
It is perfectly open, perfectly inviting, as such troubled places often are. The problem, and there's only one of you all, realize that while you are dressed nicely, you are perhaps dressed a little too nicely as you enter in. There are jeans and various overly large and overly thin gear. There's a plethora of all variety and styles. There is a full-fledged attempt at a Vegas level bit of flair going on behind the bar, and the DJ is blending as you all walk in. Dolly Parton, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, and Fall Out Boy, with a bass beat that is literally blowing the lyrics out of the songs. And you kind of sort of know that there is security inside. There's a very tough looking character watching the door to your right as you enter. A very tough looking young lady to your left as you enter. They don't seem to be stopping anybody. More looking everyone up, giving everybody the once over. What did the kids call it? A mean mug that they're presenting to the world. There are dancers in cages all over the room, hanging at various heights, making you wonder how they got in there, or whether they got in on the ground floor and they were just raised up, meaning that they'd have to be stuck there dancing until the end of the night. There's various circles of social strata spread out throughout the space. You clearly see on heading toward the restrooms right there underneath the exit sign, a kindred having their way with their partner. And if it wasn't such a lewd attempt at it, you're sure that more people would catch on that that's not lipstick that's smeared against his neck.
Shania's face is scrunched. Ew, how gauche. Get over here or something. Oh shit, there goes Benji. Should I try and catch him?
I mean, you do what you want, girl. I'm gonna go smash that dance floor.
Are we forgetting the red-eyed thing outside? Or... Okay, cool, I guess. See you in a minute, and she'll head after Benji.
And as both head towards their destination and establish a distance between themselves and each other, while growing closer and closer to the heart of chaos, it is what this place is. It is what this party is. The base swallowing them whole. It is 11 after the hour. Let's keep them back at 21 after. I'll see you guys shortly. Alright, ahoy, ahoy, ahoy. Everybody back?
Yep.
Excellent. Welcome back.
Yeah, but it's fading fast.
Alright, sounds like a plan. You and the character are in a perfect conflation. or something like that. We have no predetermined outcome for where we will end up. When we stepped away for break, Anaya was pursuing what she thought was Benji. Haley was moving towards the dance floor, the writhing bodies, the light bombarding in accordance with the bass echoing off of every surface. And Benji, many of the seers of old, from myth, both in the Grecian Peninsula and in Africa and Europe and Northern Europe and Eastern Asia and the far-flung plains of the North American continent, were possessed with fits and seizures and had various issues today that we'd recognize as various aspects of mental and emotional issues that they were dealing with. Their ability to scry the future and read portents via pattern recognition and oftentimes improper diet, because they would not eat for days on end. They'd lose themselves in whatever activity provided them the most pleasure, whether that was running themselves mindless or simply staring into the unfolding petals of various flowers, memorizing when and how they came into full fruit, not eating when certain things were provided because it either looked, smelled, or felt outside of their comfort zones. Benji never considered himself a seer. Many visions, hallucinations, and out-of-body moments that he's experienced, both personally and in the world around him, he still never considered himself a seer. So it is emotionally traumatizing as he looks down at his voluptuous breasts, clothed beneath a light purple button-down, a barely thigh-length skirt, pleated fishnet stockings, gloves which allow him to the barest of touch with his fingertips, his well-appointed, almost tailored jacket from the late 70s, which blends in perfectly with today's common dress. Doesn't bother looking in the mirror because he's expecting to see the same cafe au lait skin and large round glasses as always. But it's as he stares into the blonde glasses wearing face that he begins to feel that something is not right. Because he stares into that face, he realizes that that's his face, that's who he is. And seeing through this other person's other being only doubles down on that sense of disconnect, that dysphoria that is washing over him. And as he speaks the words that he's practiced, he takes the glasses off of his face and cleans them, and the bar around him, he's able to see through that other person's face, the face that he's inhabiting. And he watches as the Nosferatu hangs at the back of the bar, attempting to eavesdrop, which is working exactly as planned, because the whole idea is to point everyone towards those silly little would-be autarkists. Because even if his plan fails in the moment, in the now, the far-reaching impact of placing the blame at their feet is sure to bury them. And he'd much rather do it that way than actually get his hands dirty. Doesn't want to be responsible for ending another kindred's existence, at least not with his own hands. Now someone else's, well, that's another matter entirely. And then he's waking up in his body, or a close facsimile of it. There's no actual body there, not yet, but there's a chance for him to slip inside to escape all of the punishment that he's just been facing. And then he was waking up. Space is dark and cold. The many cults, legions, if you will, of those attempting to drink him dry, those hungry dead. The memory of it is still there, but he's glad to be here, even if being here is, well, a punishment unto itself. With enough time, he'll figure out how to escape, how to get free. But for right now, it's better to remain silent and bide his time. Well, that's at least what he's experiencing internally, as externally, his fist tears through the wall of the stall that he's in, while as externally, he's tearing off the toilet seat and using it as a shield as he attempts to attack and, well, drink dry the individuals who entered the restroom. Externally, he is a whirling dervish of pain and sheer kindred ferocity, while internally, he's living the life of a tall, blonde, glass-wearing kindred who, again, is awakening, and again is answering the questions asked of them, and again is trying to find a way to get back to a body, not even hers, because she's been denied that. She remembers the burning, she remembers what it's like to be immolated, and she's trying to never go back to that. The plans laid bare and enacted didn't reach fruition, and while he's experiencing that internally, his body is attempting to unleash high holy hell. And thanks to the bass and the partiers outside, the cries for help don't escape the restroom. Would Benji fight for control of this dream, this memory, bombarding him, holding him, keeping him from being, keeping him in the past? Or would he just ride the trip out? Would he try to fight the trip or go with it?
He is not in any way aware of what the fuck's happening with his actual body, correct?
No. But his experience with drug use lets him know that this is in fact a hallucination or a dream.
He's gonna just embrace it and ride it. He has no reason to do otherwise.
Excellent. Turn into the skid. Always. And Anaya. The prevalence of scarred, road rashed, dirty individuals is surprising, because as you catch up to fucking Benji, do you turn him towards you because you know there's no way that he can hear you in this crowd with this music?
She wouldn't yank him around, but she'd just kind of touch his shoulder.
The lady nearly leaps out of her skin as you touch her shoulder, and she whirls a glass knife in her hand. And you know that it's glass because it still has the Thunderbird sticker there affixed. That green bottle. And it still smells vaguely of wine, that you're not sure how long it would take to fashion a knife out of green glass wine bottle, but yeah, there it is. The snarl on her face is one that most people will ascribe to animalistic, but Anaya has seen kindred lose their shit. She knows that for all of the pale imitation of animal savagery, that this is in fact just that, a very, very pale imitation, and that the holder of such things, the actor of such things, has no idea as to just how deep and dark the well actually is.
She is not going to back up, because obviously giving space would mean that she was afraid. But she is cautious, and she wants to put at least a little bit of space between her and that bottle, or the knife made from the bottle. And kind of, whoa, sis, chill. I thought you were somebody else. Don't go need to be going crazy in here.
Don't touch me! Don't touch me! You have any right!
I got you, chill. See, hands up in the air. Not touching you.
I'm just gonna go ahead and roll your charisma and persuasion. DC 2. She is not completely as hysterical as she seems, but very close to that and more. It is clear that she is suffering with the ramifications of whatever her lifestyle has brought to her, and whatever has brought her to her lifestyle. Fate in many of his dark, twisted hands occasionally gives without taking. And something about you standing down without backing off. Something about your relative calm in the face of mortal danger. Confuses her, confounds her. The yelling. You're the right! You're the right! None of you have any rights! You damn lizard people rule in the world! As she keeps applying verbal pressure, she's removing physical pressure as she backs away from you. And all but disappears into the crowd.
She's backing, I kind of edge around. Still heading for the bathroom, but like keeping an eye on her because she is not sneaking up behind me. And kind of mouths to herself, lizard people? The fuck?
And speaking of lizard people, and all of the fuck does, there is a cathartic release. Stepping onto the dance floor. There is a moment of pure abandon. Because the ability to dance, the willingness to dance, the fellowship of other dancers is a shield against responsibility. It is a shield against accountability. It is a garden of earthly delights, the press of flesh, the release of pent-up frustrations simply with movement, the feeling at home and not having to think about anything, not having to tune anything out, not having to be an adult nor mature in this moment is the greatest of siren songs for Haley. Again, she's not stupid. She's not dumb. But the pressures of life are nothing compared with the pressures of immortality. And while not every night is a uphill slog through one chaotic moment to the next insane cousin of that chaotic moment, they happen far too often as of late. There are huge shifts and changes in the landscape. Some which could be prevented, some which could be adapted, some which wouldn't be as cataclysmic if seen or caught earlier. And all of that requires thought, all of that requires attention, all of that requires responsibilities and accountability that Haley does not want. But here on the dance floor, all of those issues are gone. It's just bodies moving in time to the music. And oftentimes out of time with the music. Just bodies moving.
She won't let herself get semi-lost in that because she's had a shitty couple of nights.
We all want to take a load off. We all want the easiest path forward. We always want, well, happiness. For some, it is never in fact meant to be. For others, it's an understanding of relaxing into the moment and accepting it as it is to find your way to the other side and survive it. Would you be so kind as to roll your charisma plus subterfuge, or your composure plus subterfuge, in resistance of the magic that is being worked over the crowd. The dancers in their cages, the DJ with his, bombarded wall of noise and sound, the several different songs blending together until it's just a feeling. There is more afoot than most would easily recognize.
I assume my looks merit will not tie into this charisma roll.
No. And again, Haley is not dumb. Haley is, like every kindred, selfish in their own way. A part of that need for freedom, that need for peace, that need to not be accountable nor responsible to anything, has instilled certain survivor traits and skills that trigger automatically in certain situations. Even if Haley doesn't consciously recognize the danger they are in, even if Haley doesn't want to be aware of anything save this moment, her natural defenses snap into play, oftentimes without her even thinking about it. As they say, some things just come naturally. And she's learned through extreme full-fledged drug experimentation where she ends and the world begins. So as the magic of the moment is wafting over the crowd, as others are falling into the sway of what's being done, Haley knows a trip when it starts, and she always decides on whether it's a destination she wants to visit or not. And as she feels the allure, the siren song at play, she immediately begins to raise her shields, even as she purposely tunes out the world. She begins to gird her loins, even though she has no intentions of waging any warfare or fighting any battles. But she can feel it. She can all but smell it. She knows mind-altering substances, both in physical and material, as well as emotional and mental realms.
Let's just keep half an eye on her surroundings without keeping half an eye on her surroundings.
And speaking of half an eye, Benji has no eye on the physical realm. There are several things that he learns in the constantly relived moments. The tension torn between the far-flung past and the recent flung past, but he slowly relaxes into the many images bombarding him and assailing him. He realizes that it is a lifetime of something, someone else, some other kindred that has actually taken to the training which he flunked and failed out of purposefully on a lot of cases, in a lot of instances. Would you be so kind as to roll your composure plus subterfuge? Your DC is 3. And while that roll is happening, heading back to the bathroom to, one, partake of the girl talking and the camaraderie of such a environment, there's a troubling fact that there is no line, Anaya. There's always a line to the restroom, especially in a place like this where they never have enough restrooms for everyone to go at the same time. Hell, they don't even have enough restrooms for half of the people gathered to go at the same time. To be perfectly honest, you probably guesstimate they have enough stalls or commodes for 1/10 of the people present, maybe. If everyone went in shifts and literally only spent 2 minutes inside, maybe everyone can get in and out in a half an hour. Maybe. But just like the line at the door in most elite executive level nightclubs, it is done purposefully because, well, if there's a line, people instinctively want to be there. It's philosophy that works off of, FOMO and scarcity and the crowded bar syndrome, meaning that if you see a line outside, the bar itself must be crowded. It means there must be something good happening inside, and you don't want to miss it. You want to be there. You want to at least see what is happening. So the fact that there's no line at the restroom is telling. Something strange is afoot.
She just kind of sticks her head in a little bit and looks around. I don't really have to go. I just was looking for Benji. She looks towards the male bathroom.
Sticking your head into the ladies' restroom, the stalls are filled. But they're not filled with anyone in miniskirts or long pants. Or you know what women in stalls look like. Those stalls are filled with people, but those are tactical boots. You've seen them on Amazon. Someone had a pair of actual United States military actual tactical boots that were considered last generation. Something wrong with like the steel toe of them or the traction. You forget which one. Some influencer was talking about how they could be modified, how they can be upcycled. In the next stall over, there are 2 pairs of legs, one in high heels and one in track shoes. In the third stall over, which is all there is in the ladies' restroom, the troubling aspect is you can see the shadow of someone on the commode or someone on the actual toilet, but there are no legs underneath. There's no telling who's inside. Whoever's inside is sitting there with their legs pulled up at, or maybe they don't have any, but you don't see any wheelchair in the ladies' room. And if you didn't have shoes that you wouldn't mind discarding, you wouldn't walk on that bathroom floor. There's a sheen to it that can only be moisture and humidity from somewhere. And well, it's not exactly cold in here, causing humidity to develop and drip onto the floor, but there's definitely a moistness there.
She, without making any noise to the best of her ability, will very much back out of the bathroom or just let the door shut after letting it go. Step closer to the men's bathroom and like in a stage whisper. Well, actually, she knows he wouldn't hear her through the door with the amount of noise.
There's no door on the men's room.
So does she see Benji peeking in?
Alright, so she peeks in. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus athletics? Your difficulty is 3 as the Slavic gentleman comes sliding towards you.
You said strength plus athletics?
Yes. You can use dexterity plus athletics, but I thought strength was your higher attribute.
It is. I was just trying to get the number right. Was there a DC or is it as high as I can get?
3. The Slavic leather-jacketed individual hits you in the chest, but you're able to plant your foot and lift him off of you to ameliorate most of the brunt of your actual connection. You catch him just in time before being bowled over, standing in the middle of a circle of death, because that's what being surrounded and flanked on all sides is effectively. It's Benji. He has the toilet seat as a shield. He has the commode pole that plugs into the wall as a sword, and he is, well, you can hear the song in your head. Where have all the men? Blah 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 blah. I need a hero. I'm holding out, and he is going at it. His fangs clearly extended, the frenzy in his eyes. Well, you've seen angrier, you've seen more frenzied looks, you've seen more animalistic responses, but in the moment, knowing how thin, how frail, how your mom would say light in the ass Benji is, it's inspiring. And as Sergey goes sliding back away from Benji, kicked as if this was Sparta, Benji comes to. He has a toilet seat wrapped to his right arm, and the pipe from the toilet in his left hand as a sword. The floor is flooding. He hears the spray of water over mixing in with the assaultive percussion of the bass all around him. And he has how many, because there's a small doubling of the image, because you've been here before facing a horde of non-believers as you fought for, well, what you're fighting for. Why were the stars overhead different? Why was there a prayer call off in the night?
This isn't where I was a minute ago.
You think so hard you can come in here and deal and take and nearly die? Do you understand? And they're raging and yelling and screaming. What would you let us get him? And it's
whoa. You'll be okay.
Your hands off me.
Hey, you ran into me, sir. Don't be getting fresh with me. You don't know me like that.
I don't think I would like to. I don't like small women like you. Move! Let me go!
Small?
Petite women do not interest me, madam. Let me go!
She's not holding him. She had literally kind of let go and pushed him a little bit off of her. Why can't we take you nowhere? She's talking to Benji now. Look, it's the second time tonight with you with fucking swords. We gotta go, bro.
Take it down.
She's with him!
You touch me, It's a mistake. I promise you that. Benji, there's a thing on top of the building, and like, I don't like being here. It's got red eyes and shit. We need to not be here.
I will solve your altitude problem with my fist. Shoosh!
Did he just swing at me?
Yes. And while that is in the offing, keeping a half an eye on the area around you, at the opposite side of the DJ booth, in one of the darker corners as per usual, but not by choice, is Yulia. She is 6'3" tall, her raven hair pulled back into a severe ponytail. Her clearly defined, overdeveloped muscles apparent. And she's smiling and bobbing along to the music, being sucked along to the, well, she seems to be one of the few people actually listening to the lyrics. Around her, you notice several individuals you would much rather not be noticed by. There's the mall, the ingenue from the late 1920s that is in fact the child of the former prince of the city. On her right, standing just behind her, is the young lady that, well, you took the selfie of yourself that ended the skullduggery and sneaking of your coterie. That the young lady that was the catalyst for Gigi no longer being amongst you as she tried to take out her target. You see several other factors from central casting for the next Sopranos remake. Not far from her, clearly her security. Seems as if there was a meeting of the minds and the anarchs were attempting whatever it is that they were attempting and getting national recognition and all sorts of things. But that's over there. Who cares about them? It's not like they would ever utilize their power and ability to, well, get their revenge for your friend, your associate, your coterie attempting to assassinate them.
She will feign being oblivious.
We're just going to go ahead and roll your charisma plus stealth as you attempt to blend into the crowd and not see them and not be seen by them. It is contested.
I should have one more die there. Let me roll one more.
Isn't there a white knight upon a fiery steed? In the grand scheme of things, none of this matters. In the grand scheme of things, none of this matters solely because it is art. It is taking in of the music. It is exploring and enjoying the space of selfish privacy and no need to account for your own agency. In the grand scheme of things, that high-minded, that highbrow consideration means absolutely nothing as you see one of the security speaking with another security, speaking with another who, and you see it spreading like wildfire. As a toreador, social interaction, social combat is your battlefield. So being noticed by those who should not be noticing you is a declaration of war. Because while Haley attempted to shirk the training that was necessary for her to survive in her small niche area of Kendra society, some of it took without meaning to. And she sees the undue attention being paid in her direction. She knows there's only one outcome. There's nefariousness afoot. The last time she ignored nefariousness afoot, well, she ended up in that strange town in the middle of nowhere with the mad bomber, and it was supposed to be a simple party, and it was going great, but what the fuck? Must someone be around to kill another tree? You don't remember there being a tree large enough to count. But who knows?
She will try to subtly dance her way away to sneak off.
Excellent. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your manipulation and stealth? Standard DC. As Haley laterally moves and circles around those who are slowly beginning to scan specifically for her, to track her, to pin her down visually for leader conversations. She becomes a ghost. She becomes a redefined ideology of what a ninja could be and should be. She is the definition of social shinobi, as she uses one person who happens to be moving in the very typical inebriated arms up swaying position, providing almost a pillar for her to disappear behind as she steps another way this way, still moving to the what music there is and using the crowd as the perfect shield of attention. While in the bathroom, would each of you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your, if you're going to dodge, it would be your dexterity and athletics. If you are going to block or catch, it would be your strength athletics. Your DC is 3.
So I ask a question.
Yes.
If Benji's response to the situation is to kind of, you know, that kind of drop to the floor and curl up into a ball and protect your vitals kind of situation, that would that also be strength and athletics, or would that be something else?
That'd be stamina athletics. He's gonna be turtling up, just protecting the head and the stomach and make sure that nothing, nothing that can't be adapted around gets broken.
Okay, understood. And you said DC 3?
Yes.
Yep, how would I expect?
Now, did Anaya use strength plus athletics to catch and block, or did she use dexterity athletics to dip, duck, dodge, and dodge?
Strength and athletics. she's had enough of his bullshit. I was going to show him who the fuck she really is.
Show her how small of a woman she is.
So the fist comes hurtling towards her face with enough time for Anaya to pop a bag of popcorn. Considering the angle and the level of the punch, he probably should be raising his elbow a little bit higher because he's trying to drive me down and make himself look like a big man. He should probably be throwing that off of that back right foot instead of throwing it off of that forward left foot. He's completely off balance, and oh my god, is he trying to look down my shirt? And yes, she has time to contemplate several hundred things with as slowly as the punch races towards her. And she blocks it with an upward swat, sending him just off angle. Normally, a small show of force, a small show of aggression is enough to deter most people in today's society. Unfortunately, this idiot isn't most. He considers himself a tough guy. His boys consider himself a tough guy. They consider themselves tough. They've seen Fight Club one too many times on their phones at work and wish that could be them. And this is their moment. And as he's handling the woman, well, you know, it's going to be over in a couple of punches, and then we'll go help him stomp her out. The knight in front of them drops the toilet seat, catching under him instead of over him, and the pipe hitting the floor, clanging and rolling behind him as they begin to introduce their soles on their shoes and on their boots to as many orifices, to as many surfaces, to as many joints, to as many non-exposed ribs as they possibly can. And Benji doesn't mind. He's been in a situation before. He survived high school. He survived college. He survived several bar fights when he was just first starting to learn. He really didn't like drinking, but it was a fine pastime as far as such things go. And as the very pointed, very sharply pointed snakeskin boot lands between his third and fourth rib, driving itself farther in than would be survivable if he had been alive, he ponders his life decisions. In this moment, anyway. Why is he laying on the toilet seat? There's not much of a shield, but it's better than... fuck! As kick after kick lands, after heel lands, after it begins to get good to them, and you can see them now jumping in the air off of one foot to come down with both. It is ridiculous.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you just suddenly stopped talking.
No, it's ridiculous. It is exactly that. It is... Why are they stepping on me this way? There's no... I don't even know them. But you kind of do, unfortunately. Their accents give it away. There's a small cartel of upcoming would-be super criminals to the drug game. They are avariciously pursuing the powerful. They are determined to rise through the ranks and maybe one day be large enough to take over Crown Point. In addition to Gary. Sadly for them, the market is saturated. Sadly for them, while it is saturated and the demand is high, the supply outstrips that demand, driving the price to record lows. The only way to get rich in the drug game in Gary is to find a way to employ every person in your drug empire so that they have the money to pay any uptick in cost. And while Benji considers what has become of his existence, and while Anaya contemplates how many bones will it take before he starts crying, like a child who got coal in their stockings on Christmas. 3. Probably 3. He seems like he may have drunken just enough to be a little anesthetized. 3. Definitely 3 bones, and he'll be crying like a baby. But which 3 bones? You want to do fingers? Because then you could do 2 fingers on one hand, 1 finger on the next hand. Maybe stepping on, maybe crushing his toes. Definitely that. 3 crushed toes, and it's excruciating. And he has nothing to show for it. No cool bandage, no cast anybody wants to sign. And while Haley uses every bit of social ninjutsu to maintain her hidden place amidst all the dancers on the dance floor. When it rains, it pours. The party's in full swing. People are losing themselves or giving themselves away to being lost. And the DJ stops playing music. It feels like your closest, dearest childhood friend left, because the quiet that falls over the space is its own persona and personality. And you hear, amidst the quiet, a sudden screaming, "Oh my God, he's got a gun!" The chaos that ensues isn't the stampede. It's people establishing distance, leaping for cover, putting things and people between them and where they thought they heard the sound from. It's people pulling out their own holdout pieces. Some older than 3/4 of the people in this bar. They're serving like specials, there's zip guns, there are little knife bullet ejectors. It's all manner of people reaching for all manner of things to defend themselves and assault those who would assault them. It's the antithesis of the calm, chaotic self-indulgence of just a night out partying. And that's when it gets really different. That's when it gets really dangerous, because you all could swear that amidst all of the screaming and crying, people moving for cover and saying, "Oh no, the fuck you don't," you could swear you heard a growl. And with that thought sitting there before us, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.